Jesus loves you more than you will.
All right, welcome back. You are listening to Outlaw. As promised, we have Senator Mike Moon with us on the line. Senator, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, Kyle. I'm doing pretty well. This is kind of like deja vu all over again, according to Yogi. I was there in the studio this morning and now by phone. So thanks for thinking of me.
Absolutely. Well, you know, Senator, I heard you Thursday. You were filling in for Nick Reed, and you talked about weather manipulation. And I go, you know what? That has been kind of on my mind this week, and I just thought it was really interesting that you were discussing it. When did you first become aware of or heard of weather manipulation? That sounds like one of those conspiracy theories.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I've got a lot of tinfoil. Haven't made them all on the hatch yet. But in this particular area, I think it was about 5 years ago, my daughter was living in Australia, and she contacted me and said, hey, what's all this stuff with the planes and they're emitting these streams that some people say they're contrails, but, you know, a condensation trail, contrails we call it,
right.
They dissipate pretty quickly. Then I started thinking that, well, there's something else different because I began paying attention to the skies over Missouri. And these contrails, as some people say they are, now are lingering in the sky. And so as I found, they're referred to as chemtrails, chemical trails.
Right.
And the more people I talked to about it, they said, there's nothing to that. That's just, you know, the condensation and the atmosphere where they're being released. It's just holding them close together. But they weren't really holding together either. They were dispersing and actually covering the sky, creating artificial clouds. So that's when I first became aware of it.
So over time now, you know, is this healthy for us? Have you been able to conclude this is good for us, or you know, who's doing it, who's behind it? What do we know so far?
I think that depends upon who's providing that answer. You know, I know you made mention just a little bit ago about the vaccines, and those who are pushing the vaccines. Oh yeah, they're tested, you know, tried and true and proven. Yet there really was not substantial enough time to actually determine whether these things were what they said they were, and we found that they really weren't. And so now we have government officials, and I've got my air quotes going up, saying, it's not even happening. Yet we just had, what's the EPA guy, Lee Zeldin, I think is his name.
Yep.
He just recently kind of halfway admitted, this is going on. We need to take a look at this geoengineering stuff. And in the same breath, he was saying there's nothing really to it. But at the same time, I think, again, it depends on who's giving the answer. So what I'm hoping that we can discover and unearth is that these chemicals that they're putting into the atmosphere to, in their opinion, either to deflect the sun back away from the earth to cool it, which, you know, that's not really a problem that we have anyway, or create rain, which there are several patents I found starting back in the 1940s. The government issued a patent for a cloud seeding endeavor to make rain. In fact, they use that type of technology during the Vietnam War to create monsoons. So it's happening.
Oh, wow. We
just now need to get people to admit it. And I think we're having kind of a groundswell now of folks knowing something's happening and need to do something about it, at least address it. And, you know, some people have told me, look, that's not happening. And so here's my rebuttal to them. Okay, if it's not happening, then it wouldn't matter if we make a law to prohibit it, right? And so let's go ahead and do that. Be preemptive.
Well, it looks like other states have taken that initiative, Senator. Tennessee enacted a law in April of 24 prohibiting the intentional release of chemicals into the atmosphere to affect temperature, weather, or sunlight. Florida, just a month ago, Senator, passed a law in June banning geoengineering and weather modification, including cloud seeding, what you just talked about. The law also requires airports to report aircraft capable of dispersing air contaminants. It seems like it makes sense. How about this? Louisiana House of Representatives passed a bill in June of just this year to ban chemtrails, directing the Department of Environmental Quality to record sightings and forward complaints. That bill still needs Senate approval. So we got other states around us that are doing this. Do you have any plans or designs of getting something filed in this coming session?
Yes, this is the third year that I will file some sort of bill. The first year, not many people were even acknowledging that it was a happening thing. Last year, I had it in two bills. I hid it in an ag bill, thinking that we might be able to at least flip something through to get a hearing, but it didn't happen. And I had Senate Bill 15 that actually addressed it head on. And I'm going to file something similar to that. We're going to follow the leads of some of the other states, and we're working with some I'm calling them experts because they knew far more than I do. And we hope to be able to get them to Missouri to provide testimony and hearings and put some facts to what we're saying. And I think we can get rid of the tinfoil. We're way past that, really. I say that tongue in cheek a lot. But this is something that is happening. It's been acknowledged by other states, and now we even have federal officials who are acknowledging it. And if I could mention this, too, there's a documentary. It's about just shy of 2 hours long called The Dimming. It was produced by Dane Wissington, and there are former federal officials with some pretty reputable administrations who are coming out and saying, yeah, this is a real thing, and our government is actually involved in it. So I hope the listeners will look up The Dimming and take a look at what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I love looking at the article or headlines like in The Guardian just last month. 8 U.S. states seek to outlaw chemtrails even though they aren't real. Like, don't believe your lying eyes, Senator. What you see up there is completely natural.
That's right.
You know, I was talking to Catherine about it. We took a cruise. And we were over in the Virgin Islands and in the Caribbean. And I go, look up at the sky, and what do you not see? We didn't see a single chemtrail, not a single one.
Wow.
And I'm like, so if this is so natural, this is so, this is common exhaust from a plane. How come we're not seeing it here? Because there were lots of planes flying, airports there, like in St. Thomas. You would think, or St. Martin, you would think that there, we would see that kind of stuff, and we didn't. And so I'd love to know, we need to get to the bottom of it. Who's funding this and for what purpose and why?
I came across a guy named Augustus, and I'm going to say his name is Dorenko. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, but he's the CEO of a company called Rainmaker, of all things. And they specialize in cloud seeding to create rain, and they're doing some work in Texas. And in fact, we're in the vicinity of Camp Mystic before they had that torrential flood. Yeah. And there is some speculation that, who was telling the truth here? He said that the silver iodide that they dispersed in the clouds were only effective for about a 20-minute period. But now there are some others who are coming out and saying, no, it can linger. And even though it was 2 days before the flooding, they're speculating that could have had an impact on the rains and caused an increase in flooding. I've looked at some reports and say that it can increase the rain potential by up to 15%. That's huge. Yeah. And so, and if that had an impact, somebody needs to be held accountable for it.
Well, we'll pay attention to this next session. If there's any help we can do to assist you and other legislators, I think it's time.
Well, you're doing it right now, Kyle. Yeah, you're doing it right now by helping us get the word out, and I'm grateful to you for that. And so for the listeners, I hope you'll look up MissouriCleanSkies.org. You can send an email to MissouriCleanSkies@gmail.com, and they can get you plugged in.
That's awesome. Well, Senator, I do appreciate your time.
You're welcome, Kyle. Thank you.